Good morning, guys. Welcome to the week. This is going to be a great week. This morning, I want to talk to you about a very important principle and something that I want to make sure that is evident in our team in all areas. And it's something that we started with. From the very beginning, Taika Translations had this. And it, I think, in a large part, has been a reason that we've grown so well over the years to this date. That is consistent focus. Boy, that is boring. That is the most boring thing that you could say, Jason. Consistent focus. From the very beginning, I sat down and started to work on when Maggie and I was like, okay, we're going to make a company and we're going to do something. We're going to make sure we can make an income for ourselves, and then we're going to include other people in this and provide opportunities for other people to work and create jobs, and we're going to do this amazing thing that eventually turned into Taika Translations. We had to sit down at the very beginning and say, okay, what does the future look like? What do we want to really create here? One was we had to create an income for our family. Obviously, that was first and foremost at the beginning because we had to eat something, right? And then after we did that for a little while, we realized that we needed help. And so we had the opportunity to bring other people on to help us. And the story just continued from there, guys. But at the beginning, we had to sit down and say, where do we want to go? And what do we want the future to look like? And actually, I to be honest, I remember having this conversation with Maggie. It was like, Jason, I'm really practical. I want to get all this work done. And maybe you could just work on the vision part by yourself for a little while. And so I got to sit down at the beginning with Taika Translations on my front porch in South Texas and start writing down what we want the future to look like, so that as we went forwards, we would lean against the right building, that we didn't get to the end of all of our that we didn't start in focus intensively and working and find out that 5 years later, the ladder was leaning against the wrong building. We wanted to be over here, but actually we're over here. And guys, that's so important in all the areas of our life that matter. There's a pie chart, and I've sent this out before to you that shows the 6 areas of life where you need to have goals in order to have a well-functioning, wealthy. I want to define it that way: a well-functioning, wealthy life, and that's the personal, the financial, those academic, the social, the ones we've talked about in the past, right? And that's no different from this. It's focused consistently. That is the most uncommon advantage that people in this day and age have, I believe. Being able to focus consistently on something is unbelievably advantageous. So that's why at the beginning of Taika Translations, we sat down and we wrote this vision out. And we said, we want to go here. I think we can go there. And the craziest thing is, as we worked, we had to sit down with Maggie and do some redefining, because there are multiple times in our careers through Taika Translations that we achieved that. We achieved that amazing thing that we were after. And we're like, okay, wait a minute. We need to broaden this horizon a little bit. We need to expand that vision. We need to deepen it, and we need to make it more meaningful, because now it looks like we can do that. And that's been an incredible, incredible journey, guys. So to be at the point where we are now, after all the stuff that we've gone through and all the things that we have achieved together, it's been a really amazing journey that we've put this thing in front of us that we wanted to accomplish, and then we set out to do it, and it's like magic. You focus on something for 5 years and it kind of happens. And it reminds me, and I don't say that to be proud or be prideful or some kind of touting our own awesomeness. It's simply a realization of the principle, consistent focus. It reminds me of a story that I heard about a doctor. He was a physical therapist of some kind, and he had his own clinic, and he said, one of the biggest revelations that I've had in my many years of treating people and helping people return to physical wellness is that their behavior modification, above all, over the long term, is the most important factor. We bring them into our clinic. We help them understand their dietary needs and work with their dietary restrictions. And then we talk about a few different types of exercises that they can do, or exercises profiles. And then they have to choose one. And then I said, okay, we're going to choose this, not me, the doctor. We're going to choose this program. And once we choose it, we're going to do it for 5 years. And you're like, what? 5 freaking years? Does anybody do anything for 5 years? It's like, that is the biggest modifying factor. You have to, he's like, I had so many people come into my practice from the beginning of our work and in the early years. And he said they would switch from program to program to program to program to program and not see the results that they wanted. They said, well, I want to get healthier and stronger. And well, maybe this will get me there faster. And then they do that for 2 months and they switch to this. Well, this one, this guy on YouTube or Instagram said this one would get there faster. And then well, actually, after 3 months, I'm kind of getting tired of this one and I'm going to switch to this one. He said, no, we're going to make a good plan that works for you. And then we're going to do it for long term. And we're going to do the reps, go through the rotations, and do it 5 years. And that, he said, has massive, massive results in the realm of in this physical training and therapy. And he said, and the other thing is this: people work and they do really well. They do 100% for like a month and a half, and then they slip up and they have the they didn't eat like they should, and then they didn't exercise for a couple of days, and somebody had a wedding, and somebody had some birthday parties they had to attend, like 6 in a row or something like that, and it screwed up the plan. And he's like, and that's okay, because that's life. Like, do the plan 80% of the time, but do it for 5 years, and you will be fine. And so he said, compensate for life, but maintain the focus on what the world it is you're doing. And I thought that so transformational, because it leads back to that ideology, that understanding that if you start with the end from the beginning, deal with the realities of life, you're going to have struggles. We're going to go ups and downs, but you know what you're after. You know what you're after, and you know what you're trying to accomplish. You're going to get there. And as long as you work at it long term and you implement those strategies that it takes to get there, and you just don't fall off the horse whenever life happens, and you do it right 80% of the time, you will become incredibly wealthy in that areas, or in those areas that you're working on. And we've talked about that pie chart a lot of times. I talked about that just a couple minutes ago, but when you get to that area of your life, you really and truly have a deep intrinsic wealth that's powerful, that's transformational, and that impacts the people around you in very, very real and tangible ways. And that is kind of where I wanted to lead today, is the wealth factor. Because here, one of the reasons, at Tiger Translations, guys, one of the reasons we exist, and it's just a reminder, is to be wealthy spiritually, mentally, financially. We do want to be wealthy financially, but that's not the only way we define it here. Being wealthy as a whole person, being whole, being strong, having strong relationships, being able to go on walks in the evening and enjoy the beautiful sunsets because you actually notice that they're there. Showing up for your friends when you need them. Taking time out of your life to exercise and make yourself healthy. Progress towards a worthy goal or idea that's important to you. This is wealthy, and that's one of the reasons we exist as a company. And I just want to remind you that you can't get to that without consistent focus, determining the end from the beginning, and then sticking at it 80% of the time. So guys, let's go forward and prosper this week. let's implement that reminder into our lives, like deeply, powerfully concrete that in, that we have to work on that, and we have to figure out, we have to look down to the future, say, what do I want? What am I after? And then just focus on it for 5 years. Somebody said, man, 5 years. Like my grandfather, he held the job for like 35 years. That's longer than a lot of people have been married. But that's the type of focus that it takes. That's the type of diligence over time it takes to prosper. And so I just wanted to remind you about that this week. That's how we at Taika Translations act, guys. Let's do that. Let's implement. And let's focus consistently, giving ourselves the most uncommon advantage in this day and age.